Most people associate Italy with the unique, collectible, age-worthy red wines like Barolo, Barbaresco, Brunello di Montalcino, Chianti Classico, or the big Super Tuscan wines, but actually, Italy produces more white than red wine. When it comes to the world's biggest producers of wine, Italy and France flip-flop back and forth every few years. The last stats that I saw showed that Italy, the last couple of years, has been the #1 wine-producing country in the world, producing about 20% of the world's wine. And of all the Italian wine produced, 58% of that is white wine. Italy's known for its wealth of indigenous grape varieties. I've seen facts and figures going everywhere from 2,000 to several hundred. Italy's Ministry of Agriculture and Forestry counts that there are 350 authorized white wine grapes. Crispy white wines, it's a relatively new phenomenon in Italy. Friuli was maybe the first region in the country to be recognized for the high quality white wines, but those whites that's known for really didn't come about until post-World War II. A lot of these unique white grapes that were spread throughout Italy were fermented on the skins, being more like yellow or orange wine until about the 1970s. Nowadays, when I'm going to the country or I'm judging in competitions, it seems like there's a new variety being vinified into wine in Italy almost like every month. I know that I'm exaggerating a little bit. I like Italian white wine grape varieties because even when they're fermented, made into crisp, easy-going stainless steel type wines, they always have character. Friuli Venezia Giulia was really the pioneer. Trentino Alto Adige produces excellent white wines, Veneto as well, known especially for Soave. However, all the regions in Italy now are producing fantastic white wines. Campania is a region that's really hot right now, and I have a couple Campanian varieties here. Pinot Grigio is probably the most famous white wine grape coming out of Italy. First of all, it's a French grape. Second of all, it's more of a pink skin or red grape. Pinot Grigio is a victim to its own success. A lot of us nerds associate Italian Pinot Grigio with thin, watery wines that are about as exciting as tap water. However, I think there are a lot of great Pinot Grigios out there. I don't have any Pinot Grigios. I have 12 different white wine grapes from Italy. I've tasted all these wine grapes, but some of these wines I have not tasted before. Let's get tasting. Today it's not fully blind tasting to me, but it's blind tasting to you. I'm gonna taste the grape variety. You can guess along with it, see if you identify it. The first one is what I consider one of Italy's greatest white wine grapes, and it's from the region of Marche in central Italy. Geeks probably already identified the variety now, but let's get tasting here. This is very stereotypical of the variety. This variety has high acidity, ages well. Has this nice piney, limey type note. Extremely mineral. This wine actually has some bottle age on it, but it smells very fresh. Again, another example of why this white grape is so phenomenal. I think of lime, limestone, crushed rock, seawater, pine, and a touch of basil. It smells really good. It's not overly aromatic, but it smells really good. Smells fruity enough, but has some nuances for geeks to get into. On the palate, tons of weight. You can tell this is a high quality wine because there's a lot of texture here. It's not boring. The finish is extremely long. I mean, we're jumping out of the gate swinging. This is one hell of a start. I'm 91 plus on this wine. You guess what the variety is? It's Verdicchio, one of the greatest white varieties in Italy. This is the Garofoli Podium 2020, so it's got some bottle age. 26 bucks. Marche. This is a Verdicchio de Casale di Iezzi. There's 2 appellations. There's also Verdicchio de Matalica, I think is the other one. No oak, brilliant wine. That's excellent. Okay, number 2 is a favorite of mine. This is a white wine grape that exists in France, also exists in Italy. The regions you're gonna see in Italy are Liguria, Tuscany. However, Sardinia is really what made this variety popular. I know this variety very well because I judge every year, every other year in the international competition for this variety. I know this producer, I haven't tasted the vintage. This is one white grape that's affordable and could be a great house wine for every night of the week, and it's unique. Pineapple, sage, seawater. The pineapple and saginess really distinguish this variety. Great starter variety for people that want to get into unique white grapes. For a wine that only sees stainless steel, there's this tangy orange peel-like acidity. Fantastic with seafood, shellfish, regular fish, cooked fish, raw fish, also with some maybe pork or creamed chicken type dishes. it has enough acidity to be tangy, but not too much where it's too sharp for a lot of people. I know a lot of people, a lot of my wine friends say that they are absolutely in love with this grape variety, and this is a wonderful example. Fruity round, I think a lot of people are going to like this. Have you guessed the grape variety? In France, it's sometimes known as Rolle. In Italy, it's known as Pigato or Vermentino. This is the Antonella Corda Vermentino di Sardegna 2021. 25 bucks. This is fantastic. It got a nice long fish. I'm still tasting this wine. 90 plus points on this for me. This is a higher level, fresher Vermentino. You're going to see in Sardinia 2 appellations. You're going to see Vermentino di Sardegna, or you're also going to see Vermentino di Gallura. That's the only DOCG on the island. Those Vermentino di Galluras usually are a little bit bigger, have a little more lees context, sometimes can be a little age-worthy. I like a lot of times the simple Vermentino di Sardegnas. 25 bucks. I know sometimes you can get some under 20. I've been to all these regions here where these wines are from, except the first one. So I hopefully get to Marche soon. Wine number 3 is a hot grape variety right now, and it's from Sicily. There are a lot of Sicilian white grapes that I'm a big fan of. This one tends to be a little bit more mineral, a little fruitier, sharp, high in acid. So usually for more geeky people, it's not the easiest wine for casual drinkers to drink. I think for casual drinkers, that second Vermentino was spot on. This is Wine Geek Wine, and this is a fairly new producer. This is kind of like their entry-level white. I've also tasted their higher-level white. I actually, on the nose, prefer this a lot more. This grape variety sometimes can be known for having just, it can be too acidic, almost like battery acid. I smell yogurt, gas, natural gas, volcanic rock, stone, a little bit of white peach. It's extremely smoky, a super smoky wine. I would love to have this with some kind of vegetable stew over the fire. I'm really impressed. I think this wine did see a little bit of oak. There's a slight vanilla tinge to it. It's so round on the nose. However, it's more mineral driven, not necessarily fruit driven. On the palate, the acidity is there. It's not super sharp like sometimes this variety can give off. I know that the higher end wine from this got Tre Bicchieri from Gambero Rosso. Gambero Rosso is a famous Italian magazine. They give the best wines of the year every year, 3 Bicchieri, 3 glasses. I prefer this entry level one. Entry level, these wines tend to be expensive. Smoky. Right of the variety, this is the Maugeri Etna Bianco Superiore Contrada Volpare 2020. This is an Etna Bianco made from the grape Caricante. 40 bucks. Etna is an extremely hot region. I've been there several times. It's the highest active volcano in Europe. I think it's over 10,000 feet. Something amazing about tasting wine and looking up and seeing a smoking volcano. Etna Biancos are very unique. Sometimes I can find them to be too austere. I think this is brilliant. 91 points for me. This is hardcore geeky type wine though, I have to let you know. There's different villages on Etna. Milo is the only village where you can make Etna Bianco Superiore. All the other villages you can only make Etna Bianco. Funny thing, Milo is the first village on Etna I ever stayed at overnight. I remember I drove up there in the fog. It was at nighttime. I was like, what? This, you know, it was kind of boring. And then when I woke up in the morning, you see Etna smoking in the distance. Nice job, Maugeri. This is good. Watch the video to the end and leave it in the comments and tell me how many of these 12 varieties you've actually tasted and which one you like. Next one is one of the more expensive wines in the bunch. The first grape we tasted, Verdicchio, is one of my favorite white varieties in Italy. This is right up there. I have 3 white wine grapes that are my favorite in Italy. This is the second, and then we'll taste the third later on. Let's get started. This is from Campania. Naples is the capital of that region, an amazing place. You have the sea, you have sandy beaches, you have high mountains that even have snow in the spring and winter. Amazing food. If you have Neapolitan pizza, it's hard to eat pizza anywhere else in the world. This is stereotypical of what I expect from the variety. A lot of white flour. It's explosive. Tons of white peach and mineral flavors. Tons of, and sometimes when I say white peach flavors, sometimes when people say white fruit flavors, they're trying to use something and the wine isn't that fruity. It's more mineral. This is really fruity. Lime, even a touch of banana. I think this is barrel fermented and the oak integration stellar. Oh my gosh. This variety is known for having a waxy texture. This variety, good examples, I always get this slight minerally sensation on the sides of my mouth, which this one has. I know this wine, and this is showing way better than I've ever had it before. The lime and mango really come out. 93 points. This is, I picked all these wines. It was a mixture of what I could get. But this is 93 points. This is exceptional. This is San Salvatore Pian di Stio. It's a single vineyard. This is Fiano, is the grape variety. $50. Fiano di Avellino is one of the more famous areas. If you'll see this wine, I've been up to Pian di Stio before. It's way high in the mountains. Yields are extremely low. That's probably this wine is a little bit more expensive. 14% alcohol. You don't feel it. This is the type of white wine that's unique enough you give to somebody that says that they don't like whites, and they kind of get it because it's so explosive, so fruity, so mineral, so round at the same time. I'm super impressed. If anybody's had this next grape variety, I will be extremely, extremely impressed. It's from the region of Lazio. Rome is within Lazio. Not the most famous region for wine, although there's some exceptional stuff coming out of the region. This white grape traditionally was one of the components of the wine Frascati, which is named after the village of Frascati. It's kind of a white blend. It's kind of been forgotten. I actually had this at a tasting at one of my local shops here, and I just wanted to support her, so I bought a bottle. Let's see how it shows here. Really flinty. A lot of yellow peach, not as explosive as the previous wine. Lime, tangerine peel. It's more fruity. The flintiness is not as mineral as the other wines, although this wine is a little bit more affordable too. But just bright, fun, really nice. It's showing just as well as I remember it. It's so fruity and tangy. It really tastes like tangerine and lime on the back end with acidity that's just enough. Everything is perfect about this wine. What I really like, the finish maybe not as long as some of the other wines. That's what holds it back a little bit. I'm still a solid 89 points on it, and I don't want this because of the price. 89 points. I think everybody should go out and try this, especially if you want to try unique Italian white grape varieties. I just take a little bit off because the finish isn't as long, but I think this is delicious. This is something that it's just gonna be great on a hot summer day. It's very and if you've tasted this grape before, I'd be impressed. The grape is Bellone. This is the Casale del Giglio 2021 Bellone. $18, 2021. At this kind of price point, you're not gonna beat. Next up is a white wine grape that you'll find in Marche and Abruzzo, the neighboring regions right on the Adriatic coast, right on the border of central southern Italy. This one is from Abruzzo. This is one grape variety. I don't actually really know the true character because producers that are working with it, again, it's reviving it. It's fairly new, so styles are all over the place. When done well, I really like it. I tasted this on a press trip of Abruzzo and I was impressed. Let's see how it shows here. Tons of sweet peach, like canned sweet peaches, banana, a little bit of dried pineapple flavors, all fruit. Not a ton of mineralness, a little bit of dandelion. I actually think of this grape variety as having more pineapple. This has some dried pineapple, some dried guava in it, but just fruit, fruit, fruit. That's what you gotta think here. This is why wine's so fun. I would think on the nose, just fruit, fruit, fruit. On the palate, the acid's got laser sharp focus, and the fruit stays there, but there's a spine of mineral note that goes right down the back. On the nose, wasn't as impressed in terms of complexity. On the palate, the back end, I think it's super complex. The grape is called Pecorino from Abruzzo. There's also a Pecorino cheese. My friend who's a master of wine, and she was a buyer for Mark and Spencer's, told me when she was first traveling through the region looking for fresh white wines to blend for Mark and Spencer's in the UK, somebody's asked her, hey, do you want some Pecorino? And she said, sure. They passed her a glass of white wine, and she thought, what? I thought you meant this is cheese. I don't know why they call it Pecorino. Some people say it's because the sheep only eat this grape. I know this is kind of an urban legend. The Fontefico 2022. This is the La Canaglia Pecorino Superiore 2022, $25. I know this is an organic producer. 90 plus points. I think it's very good. That's a wine what I liked when I tasted it at the Domain, and then when I just tasted it now, I was like, uh-oh, maybe I'm not gonna like it as much. Gotta give wines a shot. Gotta give them a shot. Next up, this white wine grape is Friuli Venezia Giulia, which might be my favorite region in Italy. I know some people say crisp white wines. Usually the white wines I think of, the higher quality ones, are a little bit bigger. The reds are also fantastic. A lot of unique indigenous grapes here. This is actually my favorite white grape variety from Friuli and the third of my top 3 favorite white grapes of Italy. This wine also got Tre Bicchieri recently, so I'm excited. Let's give this a smell. Very classic pedigreed producer. This is a white wine grape that usually doesn't have a ton of acidity, so it's really friendly for a lot of people. I expect pineapple, and this is pineapple for days when I smell it. pineapple slate. White wines can start to be predictable, especially inexpensive white wines. That's the cool thing about Italian white grape varieties. They can be affordable, but they're unique enough. Like, all of these are so different. Maybe a little bit of white flower, pineapple slate, white flower. The pineapple just jumps out of the glass, for me at least. This is not a grape that's high in acid, but it ages well because the pH is low. I've had some examples from the early 90s that have aged really, really well. This is a white grape, got lots of fruit up front. It's so good. I just like this because it's so fruity, so pineapple-y. I love pineapple. Also, the acidity's not too sharp to push people away. I'm a solid 90 points on this. This grape is not as heralded. This is called Friulano. This is the Marco Felluga. This is the Amani Colio Friulano 2022. 20 bucks. For my palate, 90 points. I think it's unique enough. Marco Felluga is a pedigreed, a classic producer, one of the producers that helped put Friuli Venezia Giulia on the map. And I think this is worth seeking out. Coming up here, another white wine grape from Campania. Campania is loaded. It's a hot region in terms of white wine and red wines right now. I actually did a video on this grape variety a couple weeks ago. It's a grape variety I never used to be super impressed with, but then when I went and visited the region, tasted some excellent examples, I was really impressed. This is more of an entry-level wine, more of the inexpensive wines in the bunch. Let's give this a smell. This producer, their top version of this white grape is the best wine from this grape that I've ever had. Let's see what the entry level is like. A little bit of smoke, quince type notes, more Asian pear on the back end. Got a little bit of white flower, what I expect. Usually with higher levels of this grape, I expect some smokiness. I think this is kind of just an entry-level, delicious wine. I'm more in the 87 point range for it. I think it's good. It's not blowing me away. It's not as good as their top wine, but I think at this price point, it's very worth checking out. The grape is called Falanghina. The Tenuta Cavalier Pepe. This is the Lila Irpinia Falanghina. This Irpinia is the region, 17 bucks, 2022. Their Santa Vera is the best Falanghina I've ever had. I think this is a fresh, delicious white wine. Not my favorite Falanghina ever, but it's worth checking out. I prefer Falanghina and Fiano the most. Greco de Tufo is also a trendy variety. That's one variety I haven't gotten into in Campania. Maybe I have to go back. I have tasted a lot in competitions. I've never gotten as excited about Greco as a lot of people, but that's just me. This next grape variety isn't actually Italian. It's the only one. It's actually French variety. However, I think it does exceptionally well in Italy, and I wanted to taste this wine, so I'm excited. The best examples I found of this white wine grape are usually in Trentino, Alto Adige in Italy, some in Friuli Venezia Giulia, but this is actually from Umbria. You'll find some in Tuscany too. Let's give this a go. It's a French variety originally from Burgundy, so that's a little bit of a tip. Not Chardonnay either. This is deep yellow in color, so maybe it has some skin contact. Oh, so this grape variety can be quite neutral, so sometimes you use skin contact, lees contact to make it exciting. This is a minimal intervention producer. Dried pineapple smoke, yogurt type flavor, even a little bit of dried banana peel, lemon zest a little bit of hay. I know that maybe, I grew up on a farm. Maybe that doesn't sound good to you, but I know this producer and I like the wines. I've never tasted this wine before, and I think it's outstanding. Not the typical expression of this grape variety. Think of more dried fruit flavors. It's not an orange wine. I don't know if it's got some cold soaking, some skin contact, since it has a little color. It's tangy, it's round. I just want the finish to be a little bit longer. I'm 90 plus on it though. I think it's excellent. This is not the stereotypical flavor profile of this variety, which is Pinot Bianco, known as Pinot Blanc in France. This is the Madrevite. This is the Il Reminore from Umbria. 20 bucks, 2021. I made a mistake. No wonder this is not Pinot Bianco. For some reason I thought this, so this stays Italian. And this is more what I would expect from this grape variety. My goodness. This is Trebbiano Spoletino. There's a lot of different Trebbianos in Italy. Spoletino is a unique example. I think they should just shorten the name and call it Spoletino. Next year when I go to the Anteprima in Umbria, I want to do a specific focus on Spoletino. No wonder it's so unique and we can stay Italian. I think this is very good. Like I said, 90 plus. Maybe even go a little, because at first I was thinking it's Pinot Bianco. What happens when you taste wines a lot of times, because wine is so complex, you pigeonhole your mindset when you know that you're tasting from a specific variety or specific region. I think this is very good. And I love that we kept the Italian theme. Spoletino, you're gonna mostly find in Umbria. The best examples I've found around Montefalco. I think the origin is from the town of Spoleto, which my friend Francesca, if you're watching, she's from that town. That's what I love about YouTube, the spontaneity. I'm not gonna edit that out. Let's move on. This is a white wine, put white wines from Piedmont, Piemonte on the map. I've never been a huge fan of this grape variety, but let's see how this is. This is brought in by an exceptional importer, Rosenthal, and it's a biodynamic producer, so let's give this a go here. When I think of this grape variety, when I smell it, I think of immediately Flint, white flower, and just a touch of white peach, but more, and maybe just a touch of lime, but more mineral driven, extremely mineral driven. It's not super fruity, so you gotta know, like some people are gonna be turned off by that, but it smells pretty good. The white flower, the lime, man, all these wines are completely different, which I love. Oh. You get a big spike of lemon lime, almost like a Sprite-like flavor with the acidity. You have some complexity. It surprised me because the nose is not super intense with fruit, but on the palate, you get this rush of fruit. This grape variety can have super high acidity if the yields are not kept under control. This is kept fairly under control, and at this price point, I made 89 points on it. I think it's a very good white wine. This, to me, is ultimate summer sipper. The grape is Cortesi. The wine is called Gavi. The Raia, the Pleo, Gavi, 2022, 19 bucks. I think this is excellent value if you want to check this out. Sometimes a lot of the Gavis I feel like are pretty generic. This has some character. The Gavi wine is named after the village of Gavi, but you can actually make Gavi in surrounding villages. If you see Gavi de Gavi, it means that it's made with Cortesi grapes from that village of Gavi. This is one of the original, like, classic crispy white wines of Italy. I think it's worth seeking out. And it's a biodynamic producer, if that's important to you. This is a producer I met from Abruzzo when I went on the press trip recently, and I was so impressed. I think the wines are biodynamic, beautiful labels as well. This is a grape variety that people think when they hear the name at first, they're like, oh, that's a fantastic grape variety, but it's actually named for a group of grape varieties all over the place. This is one of the better examples. This is a little bit shy at first, a little bit of banana. I gotta shake it out a little bit more. I'll get a little bit more yogurt type notes. This has sweet banana, and I know this sounds kind of weird, but it kind of has a mayonnaise type smell to it. I know that sounds a little bit weird, but it smells, and I don't even like mayonnaise, but I find it attractive in this wine. Mineral hit on it, crushed rock. White wine with tons of acidity. I don't think, I've tasted some examples of this wine in the past. I don't think this is showing its best right now. To me, we're kind of in the 88 point ballpark. I know this wine before, I know it's showing a lot better. I think it's just the bottle. Let's check it out. This is the Valle Reale. This is the Trebbiano di Abruzzo 2022. This comes in at 18 bucks, so pretty affordable. A lot of people, when they think of Trebbiano, they think of Trebbiano Toscana. It's what's grown all around central Italy. Trebbiano Toscana is actually the grape Uni Blanc, which is used to make cognac in France. Trebbiano di Abruzzo is a completely different grape variety. I think this is a good, solid example. I think the best example I've ever had is Valentini's, which is one of the greatest white wines in Italy, but you're also going to pay for it. Comes in at, I think, $300. They make also a higher level Trebbiano di Abruzzo. Maybe I should have shown that because this isn't showing as good as I would like. Just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. Okay, this is a super famous producer, super famous wine. A lot of people don't know the grape variety, but know this wine because it was one of Italy's most exported wines, especially in the 90s. Let's give this a smell. This is a higher level wine too. This smells great. Gas, volcanic gas, mineral. More mineral driven and more dried fruit. Dried yellow peach is the first thing comes to mind. Dried guava a lot. Well, I used to buy dried guava a lot of times, especially when I lived in Asia. That's what this reminds me of. But it's so deep in its smokiness, which I like so much. Complex wine. Mineral driven wine, but it has kind of the sweetness of the sweetened dried fruit flavor, so I think it could pull people in a little bit. All these wines are way different. There's a little bit of grass on the back end, which I like. It's super complex. This grape has high acidity. I know this region is trying to make a cruise system, try to make the wines more prestigious because they used to be cheap in the past. I think this is super complex. It's long, it's really focused. You get a lot of the dried fruit and the acidity going down the spine. It's extremely long. Dried fruit and acidity down the center, but on the sides, that's where you get the dried fruit flavors. A lot of these simple white wines, I say, you know, they're fun for porch sippers or to pair with some food, some seafood, some maybe chicken type dishes. This is a wine that I'm still tasting. I think you got to taste and just drink it on its own. I am also 93 plus, probably the same level as the Fiano. This is a great variety of wine I never used to be so huge on, from the Veneto. Actually, the Veneto in Italy, the region where Venice is the capital, produces the most wine in Italy. Actually, even though it's so far north, you would think it'd maybe be Sicily or Puglia. The grape is called Garganega. It's the main grape of Soave. This is the Pieropan alla Rocca 2020. This is not a cheap wine, comes in at 50 bucks. I know Pieropan, they make a basic entry-level Soave that's also good. I think it's around 25 bucks. I think this wine is outstanding, 2020. It's something that I want to meditate on, and I just think it's delicious. So tell me, how many of these white wine grapes have you tried in Italy? Do you like white wines? You better if you like the channel. I'll see you guys soon.